I have my dead, and I would let them go, and be surprised to see them all so cheerful, so soon at home and being dead, so right, so unlike their repute. You alone return, brush past me, move about, persist in knocking something that vibratingly betrays you. Oh, don't take from me what I am so slowly learning. I'm right, you're mistaken. If you're disturbed into a homesick longing for something here, we transmute it all. It's not here. We reflect it from ourselves, from our own being, as soon as we perceive it. I thought you'd gotten much further. It confounds me that you should thus mistaken come, who passed all other women so in transmutation. That we were frightened when you died, or rather, that your strong death made a dark interruption, tearing the till from the ever sense. That is our business. To set that in order will be the work that everything provides us. But that you too were frightened, even now, are frightened now, when fright has lost its meaning, that you are losing some of your eternity, even a little, to step in here, friend, here, where nothing yet exists, that in the all. For the first time, distracted and half-hearted, you did not grasp the infinite ascension. As once you grasped each single thing on earth, that from the orbit that already held you, the gravitation of some mute unrest should drag you down to measurable time. This often wakes me like an entering thief. If I could say you merely deign to come from magnanimity, from superabundance, because you are so sure, so self-possessed, that you can wander like a child, not frightened of places where there are things that happen to one. But no, you're asking, and that penetrates right to the bone and rattles like a saw. Reproach such as you might bear as a spirit, bear against me when I withdraw myself. At night into my lungs, into my bowels, into the last poor chamber of my heart, such a reproach would not be half so cruel at this mute asking. What is it you ask? Say, shall I travel? Have you left somewhere a thing behind you that torments itself from trying to reach you? Travel to a country you never saw, although it was as closely akin to you as one half of your senses. I'll voyage on its rivers, set my foot upon its soil, and ask about old customs. Stand talking with the women in their doorways, and pay attention when they call their children. I will observe how they take on the landscape outside there in the course of the old labor of field and meadow, will express a wish to be presented to the king himself, and work upon the priests with bribery, and leave me lying before the strongest statue, and then withdraw, shutting the temple doors. But in conclusion, having learnt so much, I'll simply watch the animals, that something of their own way of turning may glide over into my joints. I'll have a brief existence within their eyes that solemnly retain me and slowly lose me, calmly without judgment. I'll make the gardeners repeat by heart the names of many flowers, and so bring back in pots of lovely proper names a little remnant of the 100 perfumes, and I will purchase fruits too, fruits where in that country sky and all will re-exist. For that was what you understood, full fruits. You used to set them out in bowls before you and counterpoise the heaviness with colors. And women too appeared to you as fruits, and children too, both of them from within impelled into the forms of their existence. And finally you saw yourself as fruit, lifted yourself out of your clothes and carried that self before the mirror, let it in, up to your gaze which remained large in front and did not say, that's me, no, but this is. So uninquiring was your gaze at last, so unpossessive and so truly poor. It wanted even you no longer, wholly. That's how I would retain you, as you placed yourself within the mirror, deep within, and far from all else. Why come differently? Why thus revoke yourself? Why are you trying to make me feel that I'm those amber beads around your neck there with still something heavy, with such a heaviness as never lurks in the beyond of truthful pictures? Why does something in your bearing bode misfortune? What makes you read the contours of your body, the lines upon a hand, and me no longer able to see them but as destiny? Come to the candlelight. I'm not afraid to look upon the dead. When they return, they have a right to the hospitality within our gaze, the same as other things. Come, we'll remain a little while in silence. Look at this rose here on my writing desk. It's not the light around, it's just as timid as that round you. It too should not be here. It ought to have remained or passed away out in the garden there, unmixed with me. It stays, unconscious of my consciousness. Don't be afraid now if I comprehend. It's rising in me. Oh, I must, even if it kills me, I must comprehend. Comprehend that you're here, I comprehend, just as a blind man comprehends a thing. I feel your fate, although I cannot name it. Let both of us lament that someone took you out of your mirror, if you still can cry. No, you can't cry. You long ago transformed the force and thrust of tears to your ripe gazing, and were in the act of changing every kind of sap within you to a strong existence that mounts and circles in blind equipoise. Then, for the last time, change got hold of you, and snatched you back out of your farthest progress, back to a world where saps will have their way. It did not snatch all, only a piece at first, but when reality from day to day so swelled around that piece that it grew heavy, you needed your whole self. Then off you went and broke yourself in fragments from your law, laboriously kneading yourself. And then you took yourself away, and from your heart's warm, night-warm soil you dug the yet green seeds your death was going to spring from. Your own death, the death appropriate to your own life. And then you ate those grains of your own death like any others, ate them one by one, and had within yourself an aftertaste, an unexpected sweetness, had sweet lips, you, and your senses sweet within already. Let us lament. Do you know how unwilling and hesitatingly your blood returned, recalled from an uncomparable orbit? With that confusion it took up again the tiny circulation of the body. With what mistrust it entered the placenta, suddenly tired from the long homeward journey. You drove in on again, you pushed it forward, you dragged it to the hearth as people drag a herd of animals to sacrifice, in spite of all desired it to be happy. And finally you forced it, it was happy, and ran up and surrendered. You supposed, being so accustomed to the other measures, that this was only for a little while. And now you are in time, and time is long, and time goes by, and time goes on, and time is like relapsing after some long illness. How very short your life when you compare it with hours you used to sit in silence, bending the boundless forces of your boundless future out of their course to their new germination, that became fate once more. O painful labor, labor beyond all strength, and you performed it day after day. You dragged yourself along to it and pulled the lovely woof out of the loom, and wove your threads into another pattern, and still had spirit for a festival. For when you'd done, you looked for some reward, like children when they've drunk a nasty drink of bittersweet tea that may make one better. You gave your own reward, being still so distant, even then from all the rest, and no one there. Who could have hit on a reward to please you? You yourself knew it. You sat up in child-bed, a mirror there before you that returned all that you gave. Now everything was you, and right in front within was mere deceit, and sweet deceit of every woman gladly putting her jewels on and doing her hair. And so you died like women long ago died in the old warm house, old-fashionedly, the death of those in childbed who are trying to close themselves again but cannot do it, because that darkness which they also bore returns and grows importunate and enters. Ought they not, though, to have gone and hunted up some mourners for you? Women who will weep for money and, if paid sufficiently, will howl through a whole night when all is still. Observances, we haven't got enough observances, all vanishes in talk. That's why you have come back and with me retrieved omitted mourning. Can you hear me? I'd like to fling my voice out like a cloth over the broken fragments of your death and tug at it till it was all tatters. And everything I said was forced to go, clad in the rags of that torn voice and frieze, if mourning were enough. But I accuse, not him who thus withdrew you from yourself. I can't distinguish him, he's like them all. But in him I accuse all, accuse man. If somewhere deep within me rises up a having once been child, I don't know. Perhaps the purest childness of my child I will know. I will not know it. Without looking at it or asking, I will make an angel of it, and hurl that angel to the foremost rank of crying angels that remembrance God. For now too long the suffering has lasted, and none can stand it. It's too hard for us. This torturous suffering caused by spurious love, which, building on prescription like a habit, calls itself just and battens on injustice. Where is the man who justly may possess, who can possess what cannot hold itself, but only now and then blissfully catches and flings itself on like a child a ball? As little as the admiral can retain the Nike poised above his vessel's prow when the mysterious lightness of her godhead has caught her up in the limpid sea wind, can one of us call back to him the woman who, seeing us no longer, takes her way along some narrow strip of her existence, as though a miracle without mischance, unless her calling and delight were guilt. For this is guilt, if anything be guilt, not to enlarge the freedom of a love with all the freedom of one's possession. All we can offer where we love is this: to lose each other, for to hold each other, comes easy to us and requires no learning. Are you still there, still hiding in some corner? You knew so much of all that I've been saying, and could so much too, for you passed through life open to all things like a breaking day. Women suffer. Loving means being lonely, and artists feel at times within their work the need, where most they love, for transmutation. You began both, and both exist in that, which fame, detaching it from you, disfigures. You began both, and both exist in that, which fame, detaching it from you, disfigures. Oh, you are far beyond all fame, or inconspicuous, how gently taken in your beauty as a gala flag taken on the grey morning of a working day, and wanted nothing but a lengthy work, which is not done in spite of all not done. If you're still there, if somewhere in this darkness there's still a spot where your perceptive spirits vibrating on the shallow waves of sound, a lonely voice within a lonely night starts in the airstream of a lofty room. Hear me and help me. Look without knowing when. We keep on slipping backward from our progress into some unintended thing, and there we get ourselves involved, as in a dream, and there at last we die without awakening. No one's got further. Anyone who's lifted this level of blood to some long work may find he's holding it aloft no longer, and that it's worthlessly obeying its weight. For somewhere there's an old hostility between our human life and greatest work. May I see into it and say, help me. Do not return if you can bear it. Stay dead with the dead. The dead are occupied. But help me, as you may without distraction, as the most distant sometimes helps in me.